Well, hello, Scrap and Ames fans. How are we all today? I am back with an awesome mixed media layout for you for my daughter's album. Originally, I must admit that this was actually supposed to be for a mood board challenge for a scrapbook blog group, um, but it didn't quite go the way the colour scheme was meant to, so I just gave up as such and decided I was just going to do my own thing, and I'm completely happy with how this has turned out. So what I'm doing here, I have pre-gessoed this cardstock, and I'm just using this Distress Oxide to sort of smear across the top there. It is in the, what is it, Broken China. And what I'm doing is, as you can see, I just had a little spray bottle of water, and I'm just misting that onto the ink, which activates the ink, and I'm letting it run down the page just to give it a bit of a interest, bit of something different, I guess. So just adding more water as I go and just getting it to drip a bit more. So I did cut a bit out here. I did use my hairdryer, my heat tool for a bit just to get that to dry a bit and move the drips down and around the page a bit. And I'm just using some paper towel here just to mop up some of the excess water because I'm impatient and wanted it to dry quicker. Now I have to admit that this did warp a bit on the layout. As you can see, it's a bit bubbly in spots. It hasn't wrecked the page at all, and once it goes into an album it will flatten down, but maybe needed to add a bit more thicker coat of gesso maybe. I'm not sure, but I'm sure to keep that in mind next time I try it. Now here are my two photos. They're a picture of me and my little one together. One is a semi-normal nice photo of the two of us, and the other one we're pulling crazy faces, and I'm just gonna back them onto this floral kind of black and white floral type pattern paper. Now originally I was going to cut this, as you'll see, in a strip like this and have them separated and just one thick strip across the sort of the page, but I changed my mind and ended up separating them, as you'll see in a minute. It just was too thick. I thought blocked too much of the background out, and I didn't want that to happen. I liked the effect, and I'd planned to use some texture paste, which you'll see shortly, with some blue gelato, like a metallic blue gelato, through it in the background as well, so I didn't want to sort of cover it up too much. I do make sure that the photos are cut even. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This day I decided that they needed to be exactly even. Now, as you'll see, I fiddle around with the placement of my photos. That's not where they end up, and I do something a bit different. You'll see they run down the right-hand side of the paper. That stamp is a Heidi Swap stamp that I got ages ago from Spotlight, and it actually will become my title, and it just says, "I like totally love you." So there's a texture paste, modelling paste, whatever you want to call it, and this geometric heart that I got in a Kitaholic kit a while back. Can't remember who the manufacturer or whatever is, but you know, that's okay. So no real set plan as to where these are going to go. I just basically decided that I would use all of the texture paste through this stencil. So I think it ends up being 4 of those hearts across the page, just randomly placed. No real set sort of pattern. I just splodge it down, use another palette knife there to clean up the excess. There you go. Again, just save you the needing to see it all. I dry it with the heat tool, and it's done. Now I am pulling out some vellum here. I brought this pack of 25 from Lincraft, and I decided that I'm going to put it behind my photo just to give it a bit of a soft touch make it look a bit softer against the background, like with that black and white and then the blue. I just felt it needed something subtle to break it up between the photo and the background, so that's what I use this for. Not a lot of it, just a little, just enough. Now the vellum doesn't go across the entire photo, the backing of the photo, which I'm fine with. Just add something a bit different to it as well. Doesn't have to be perfect. All in all, this layout, including the drying sort of thing, took about maximum maybe 45 minutes. That's including drying, in between drying now, which you didn't see all of that on camera, which isn't too bad for a mixed media layout, I don't think. It sort of came together once I had the ball rolling. It just sort of came together. And on this day in particular, I was actually on a bit of a roll. It was a Saturday afternoon. I just finished doing a heap of stuff with my other half, rearranging rabbit cages, and I came to sit down and I did this layout, and there'll be another one that will go up after this, or one or the other. Excuse me. That I did as well. I was on a bit of a roll, but I had to stop for dinner, and that was that. So this is where I decided to place my photos. Oh, hang on, I'm fiddling around again. I wanted to do something actually a little bit different. Usually I sort of do, when I do these layouts, I do them sort of across the middle or up on an angle or whatever in the corners. So I was either going to put it along the bottom, but then I stick with this side, down the side. I don't know why, I just thought it looked a bit different. It was different to what I usually do. So I just wanted to try it out and see how it goes. You know, as I always say, you can't ever really stuff anything up when it comes to scrapbooking. You can either embellish it or just go with the flow like this. Not that this was a big stuff up or anything, but yeah, it's good that way. Now these pieces you see here, these ephemera pieces, are from the Pebbles Girls Squad, and it came in the August Kitaholic main kit. So I do fiddle around with what I'm going to put on the page and go back and forth with it. So I was going to use, I did have that Flutterby range out because there was a blue piece that said weird, and I was just going to write weird and something was going to be my title there. You can see that ampersand in the middle of that heart. But I must have used the weird die cut word, and yeah, so I had to change my mind to come up with something different, which, as you'll see, becomes the little stamped phrase. So I'll play around with some clusters of embellishments here. They're quite large pieces, which can make it tricky to, I think, can make it a bit tricky sometimes on layouts to embellish, especially if you've got multi-photo pages, which generally I seem to have. If I have sort of more than, like, you know, I have a bit of a rule as such with my scrapbooking because I like to do project life as well. You know, if I've got enough to fill a project life spread, like sort of 3 or 4, then add some filler cards or whatever to it, then that's what I'll do. Otherwise, if it's sort of 1 or 2, obviously, I do like a 12 by 12 layout. So on the right-hand side of the printables that came in that kit as well. So just fiddling around where everything's going to go. Oh, there you go. I must have taken that out. So I'm just now going to start sticking things down. Now, again, using wet glue, which is nearly out. I actually have to get some today, to stick it all to the mixed media background. Just sticks a bit better when it wants to work. So as you can see, I do a cluster at the top and a cluster at the bottom, and then some pieces around the middle. All right, that little piece, phrase piece there, as you can see, it was from the printables. I'm not sure, it doesn't stay there. I changed my mind on it, as usual. Just to give my a bit of lift to my photos and bring them up off the background a little bit, I decided to mount them on some craft foam. Just adds a bit of dimension as well, I thought. Bit of a fan of sticking things on foam at the moment. I'm not really sure why. Just adds a bit of dimension to your layout, I guess. So it is Sunday morning here in lovely Canberra. We had an awesome day yesterday. We've had some really nice days actually this week. Today is looking like it could be a bit of a mix of going to be nice and then a bit later. So I haven't been very well yesterday, so today I am on resting up duty so that I can work for the week, which is okay because I get to do, I guess, positive side to that is I get to do some creating, whether it be at my desk or on the lounge. So there should hopefully be a few videos coming out for you this week. As I said, I've already got this one and another one that I did yesterday, and I plan to try and do some more today, or going to plan. So I'll have some videos set for the week, ideally. So I don't get a lot of creating done in this week when we have all three of our kids. It's usually busy, homework, all those sorts of fun school things. All right, so just as you can see, I moved that little phrase with, it says troublemaker, and that suits my daughter to an absolute T. She's got a lot of, for a 4-year-old, she's very clever. She's got a lot of sass, a lot of attitude, and a lot of cuteness as well. She tries to rule the roost over her big brother and sister. All right, so what you can see at the top there, that black piece says Fierce, and it is from that Flutterby pack, die cut pack I showed you earlier. And I actually put a little heart there as well. These little stickers, which are from Studio Calico, I was right before. 7 paper phrase stickers, and it just says Playform. So I build that little cluster at the top there. Well, it's not really little, is it? Because those big die cut pieces are quite large. Just having a look to see if there's anything else. There's some cute little phrases on it. And then I think I put a little heart, a little pink coloured heart from that Flutterby Designs pack. And that cluster ends up being done. Fighting with my glue this whole layout to try and get the last bit of it out. Must admit, it's probably lasted me a while actually, a good fair few months. So that's pretty good. All right, so as you can see, I'm building another cluster down the bottom. That flower piece actually had kindness is the new cool or something written on it. I didn't need that, but I really liked the flower piece, so I decided to obviously use that and put the little blue truck that says enjoy life, eat tacos. Just thought it was a bit funny actually. Oh, kind is the new cool, there you go. So, but anyway, that doesn't matter, it gets covered up. Which sometimes I think, I don't know about anyone else, is we get a bit stuck. Like, you know, originally when looking at that piece, when I first opened the pack, I was like, oh, how am I going to use it? Because it says this and blah, blah, blah. But I actually saw on, I think one of the design team members for Kidaholic Kits used this piece and actually covered it up as well. So I was like, you know, you can do that. You don't have to stick with what it says or, you know, what it looks like or whatever. You know, if you want to cover something up or cut it out or, you know, on another layout, the layout I do after this one, there's some cut apart sheets, Girl Squad cut apart sheets, and I actually end up cutting into them a bit, as in like just cutting out the shapes and things like that and not leaving the actual card bit. But, you know, that's all good. Who cares? You know, I think sometimes you get a bit stuck. I mean, I do sometimes get it stuck in my head that it needs to be used this way when really you can use it in other ways, things in other ways. So, yeah, just a little tip. Now, these pieces of pattern paper, I think that yellow one is actually a cute girl crepe paper one, I think. And I'm deciding which one I'm going to stamp on. I'm using my Stays On ink with this stamp. And I decided to go that the pink one will look okay. So I use that, and as I said, that actually becomes my title instead of some big sort of spelt out title. I just thought this was perfect, to be honest. And I just cut in and around it and then pop it on the page. I think it goes on some foam as well, just to bring it up in line with the photos a bit. As you'll see, it sits next to it. And I'm not sure if you've worked out yet, but I cannot cut straight to save my life. So 9 times out of 10, I will try and use my cutter. I just couldn't be bothered to sort of reach across and grab it, I think, in this instance. Yeah, and so then I sit there and fiddle around with things for ages because I cannot cut a straight line. Sometimes I just go, oh, bugger it, I don't care, whatever. So as I said, just popping that up on some craft foam. And I put a little bit of, you'll see in a minute, I used some of the scraps to border this a little bit, just to draw your attention a little bit to it, that it's the title, you know, and the photos, because it sits right in next to these photos. So obviously they're what I'm scrapbooking, they're the memories I want people to see, or at least my daughter anyway. All right, just making sure things, it was a bit tricky too, as I said, the paper did, the cardstock in the back did sort of warp a little bit. So, you know, sticking things down, I had to really make sure that they were stuck and didn't sort of pop up in amongst the little bulgy pieces. But as I said, if everything's stuck, I'm looking at the layout now, and I think there's no issue with it. And once it goes into an album, into her album, it'll just be flattened down anyway. There's a million other layouts I have in there. So yeah, as you can see here, I'm just using some scrap bit from that where I cut out the pink piece for the title, and I'm just going to border around it. It's got little like coffee cup type things, just something fun, funky, you know. All right, now what else am I doing? Oh, adding some of these Chamel enamel dots, shapes, whatever you want to call them. Add them to the pink piece just to add some interest there too. I only add 2 because I'd sort of take into account that that little love heart that's stamped at the top kind of makes that rule of 3 there. I didn't think it needed, it had a spot for a 3rd dot, so I just went with the heart. I'll play around as to whether or not I can add anything else, but I do leave it. And that might be nearly done, I think. And I'm just fluffing around to see whether or not there's anything else I want to add. I was thinking about adding that tag there, but I obviously don't. That's one thing I forgot to do, was actually add the date to this just earlier in this year. All right, just tidying up a little bit. I sort of fluff around as I go and, you know, put things away so I can see what I need. Oh, yes, I do add something else. Sorry, this little cut apart flower. So, and I just use my little stapler there just to staple it on. And I was going to see whether or not I needed to add something to cover in the staples, but then I thought, no, it doesn't matter. It's all good. They're not that noticeable. You probably noticed them now because I've told you, but yeah. Just playing around to see whether or not there was anything I could add to it. And I think that's pretty much just about done. I think what am I doing? Did I add anything else? Can't see anything else I added at the last minute. Oh, I'm thinking about it. Thinking. Oh, my border. So I'm just using a black, what is it? Hang on, I'll tell you what it is. It is the Uniball Signo it's a black sort of pen. 207. I'm not really. Oh. Yeah. Just to do a little doodly border around the edge, I just needed something just to sort of ground the page, end the page kind of thing. With all that colour and everything on it. Just needed to sort of have something to just go, whoop, here it is sort of thing. Very technical, I know. And then this layout is done. I'm going to show you some close-ups. And again, if you've liked the video, please give the thumbs up. I love seeing that people are liking my work. Feel free, if you've got any questions, to leave me a comment. And don't forget to subscribe. I also have an Instagram account, which you'll see at the end here, as well as a blog, which I post to every now and again, or regularly as much as I can. But yeah, thank you for watching. It's been great. And I'll see you next time. Bye.